This is Devonport City Council's meeting for Monday, 24th of August, 2026. Devonport City Council acknowledges and pays respects to the Palawa Pakana people as the traditional and original owners of Lutruwita and continuing custodians of the land on which we gather. We also acknowledge and pay our respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal elders past and present. There are no apologies tonight. I have all cohort with our councillors, and thank you for being here tonight. All persons in attendance are advised that it is council policy to record council meetings in accordance with council's digital recording policy. The digital recording of this meeting will be made available to the public on council's website for a minimum period of 6 months. The meeting will also be live streamed on council's YouTube channel. Any declarations of interest from my councillors? I will declare one for myself. Item 5.2, I am the patron of the Devonport Circuit, but I will be staying in the room. Moving on to procedural. 3.1 is confirmation of minutes. If I could have a mover, please.
So moved.
Councillor Ennis, thank you. And a seconder, please.
Second.
Councillor Hollister, thank you. Councillor Ennis.
Nothing further.
Councillor Hollister.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Any further comments from the councillors? If not, Councillor Ennis to close.
Consider it closed.
Sorry, closer.
Sorry.
Pardon? Oh,
Consider it closed.
thank you. Sorry, I thought you wanted to speak, Councillor Murphy. Thank you, Councillor Ennis. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3.2 is public question time. 3.2.1 is responses to questions raised at prior meetings. If I could have a mover, please.
So moved.
Councillor Murphy, and a seconder.
Seconded.
Councillor Martin. Councillor Murphy.
Yes, Mayor, all the responses are there for all to see.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I note Mr. Ellicott's questions and Council's replies, which I think is appropriately clarified and answered Mr. Ellicott's questions.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, Councillor Murphy, close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 3.2.2 is questions on notice from the public. There is a recommendation there. If I could have a mover, please.
So moved.
Councillor Moore, and a seconder, please.
Seconded.
Councillor Murphy. Thank you. Councillor Moore.
That's all there to read you. There was 3 questions from Mrs. Ellicott and they've all been answered. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
I concur with Councillor Moore, Mayor.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, Councillor Moore to close.
Consider it closed, Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now 3.2.3 is questions without notice from the public. If anybody from the gallery would like to come up and ask any questions, this is your chance. We'll just take turns. You've got 2 questions you can ask straight away. And please remember to state your name and address. So anyone that wants to walk up, you go up to the podium up here and speak. Ms. Wilden.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Petra Wilden, 17 Forest Heights Drive, Tagro. Dear Mayor and Councillors, for 4 years I have raised concerns about the ongoing loss of native vegetation across Tagro. Unfortunately, these concerns have received little acknowledgement while clearing and habitat loss have continued. My deep connection with nature led me to complete a graduate diploma in environmental planning. With my understanding of climate change, biodiversity loss and environmental planning, I am confident in the advice I offer today. I'm offering advice about the development 128 Tagro Road that you have to decide on today if you're going to approve it or not. I'm not opposed to development at 128 Tagro Road. I'm asking that it does not destroy the remaining native vegetation. It's a question.
I understand, but I might have to interrupt you. If you're going to be asking a question in relation to the agenda item tonight, that will be dealt with then.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I still like to complete this.
Yeah.
I am asking that it does not destroy the remaining native vegetation, mature trees and wildlife habitat.
Ms. Wilson,
You've got to wait till they call that later.
that's right.
I can't speak anymore, though. I can only speak now.
So you either answer the question directly, and if it's a question in relation to the agenda item, we'll say that we'll be answering it during that time anyway. We'll be dealing with it then. But if
Yeah, but I can ask it now and then you deal with it later.
right, well, we don't need
Yeah.
a statement from you. We just
Yeah.
need a question.
Yeah, okay. Well, it has a little bit, I need to explain a little bit.
Understand.
So too often vegetation across Tagra has been cleared before proper assessment or planning approval. Environmental requirements, including the Natural Assets Code and threatened species protection, have not been adequately applied or enforced. The Natural Values Report
Yes.
identifies more than 50 mature eucalyptus feminalis trees on lot 7.
Madam Mayor, if I just clarify, so the topic that Ms. Wilson's talking about is a planning consideration tonight, and there's strict rules around council sitting as the planning authority, so there can't be comment about the actual application. You make some general comments about the area, but anything to do specifically with that application, there's no opportunity to put that forward. That's dealt with through the representation process, and public have a chance to make comment through that process.
Yeah, I guess I just want to talk this
I
through.
understand, but
Yeah.
not necessarily am I going to allow that.
Yeah. Okay, well, what I've seen of the application, the environmental and bushfire assessments are inconsistent. Building
Understand.
envelopes have not been updated.
I'm going to interrupt you again,
Yeah.
I'm afraid. We're not acting under the planning authority matters at the moment. We will
Yeah.
be. And we will be dealing with that matter at that time.
I know you will, but I just want to convince people that I would ask you to defer the approval until independent ecological assessment, advice from NRE Tasmania and an integrated protection plan are provided.
Ms. Wilson.
It's not provided, and so
Thank you.
I ask councillors to
Thank
please
you.
defer that.
Development. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We will be dealing with that in item 4. Thank you.
I know, but it's
Standard process.
So, thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Belcott.
Bob Ellicott, 11 Cocker Place, Devonport. Firstly, Mayor, for the benefit of all of the having I would like to have your permission to say one of the jobs in this and other towns that would be the least sought after is picking up rubbish, and in particular filthy cigarette butts. Also, I must say Devonport is most fortunate to have a person and others who are prepared to be employed to do this in a most fastidious way in keeping our city clean. Indeed, how nice it is to be able to walk around the CBD and along Victoria Park and other areas that are free from accumulated rubbish. Mayor, please convey with you my and other members of the public's our appreciation to the man with a bucket and grabber and the others responsible for all the good work. Thank you.
That's very kind, Mr. Belcott. Did you have a question as well?
Well, I do have some questions.
Okay, and that's very kind. Thank you.
Mayor, according to this evening's agenda item 6.4, Risk and Compliance Incident Report for July reference 152, there has been pertaining to council employees once again, unfortunately, 4 personal injuries. That is an average of 1 per week. Unfortunately, again, every month the report contains a concerning number of injuries. To the CEO, what type of accidents were they in July, and how many are required time off work or compensation? It seems to be ongoing,
Thank you, Mr.
unfortunately.
Belcott.
Through you, Mayor. So in our annual report each year, we list the number of workers' comp claims for the year. So we typically have between 6 to 12 lost time injuries for the year. The item in the agenda to which you're referring is all accidents, no matter how small they may be. So, for example, a paper cut that requires a Band-Aid would trigger one of those requests or one of those reports, and we do encourage our staff to report any incidents, no matter how small they might be. So we're quite comfortable with the figures and where they're at.
Thank you.
I'll have to bring that up again. Question 2. In the same council report as per question 1, it states there were 2 general public safety incidents, and in the public section part of the report, there were 5 personal injuries. Can you explain what the difference is between these 2 groupings?
Stone, we might pass on to. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Bellicott, it depends on what category, what category gets reported through our reporting system. Yes, it could be a personal injury and someone might not understand how they need to report it to us, but it doesn't matter how it comes to us, we still investigate all of those reported incidents.
Thank you.
Oh, well, if time permits, I'll ask another question.
Thank you very much. Was there any other questions from the public gallery? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vicky Ward. I live at 3 Woodland Grove, Tuggerah. Firstly, I wanted to say thank you to everybody. Working as a councillor is a very, very difficult job, and serving as a mayor is also a very difficult job. So I'd like to let you know that we appreciate what you do. But my question is, I want you to give me an answer to a question which says, how are you going to protect our environment for our kids in the future? Because allowing it to be knocked down, taking away the oxygen, etc., 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 is not going to be helpful. So my question to the council would be, is what are you going to do as a council to protect that environment? Because reality is, it has to last for our children, it has to last for their children. So we need to have a good think about that. And yes, I have many ideas that I could give you, but that's not the way it works. So what I'd like you to do is to think about the permanent future of our environment, which is going to protect our children.
Thank you, Vicky.
So my question is,
yes, understood.
Please give us a reply to that by saying how you're going to protect it so that my students that I've had in the past can all have lives that they want. We need that. So thank you, people. I appreciate you listening and good on your work. And I wouldn't do your job for $1 million.
Thank you, Vicky. Appreciate that. We'll get back to
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Living right on the environment is one of Council's 5 core strategic directions. We can provide a written response to in regard to that question around specific actions that Council take.
any further questions from the gallery? If not, Mr. Belcott's waiting there patiently. Mr. Belcott.
Thank you, Mayor. Following on from my other questions, Mayor, were any of the accidents or incidents that was in this current report serious enough to require medical attention or hospital treatment?
Ms. Stone.
I would need to take that one on notice.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Belcott.
Thank you.
Thank you. That being it from the gallery. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 3.4 is notice of motions. 3.4.1 is adoption of official flora and fauna emblem for the city of Devonport. If I could have a mover, Councillor Martin, thank you. And was that Councillor Murphy?
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. This motion brings forward the last but not the final step in what has been a truly community-driven project. The idea of identifying Devonport's floral and fauna emblem isn't new. This concept was first brought to council more than a decade ago through the Celebrate Devonport Ideas paper in 2013. That paper was distributed to council officers and aldermen looking to spark a conversation about local storytelling and identity, even suggesting a Devonport coat of arms and highlighting that we have no flora or fauna emblem, and that the so-called top-notch pigeon, an introduced species, does not have any real historical relevance. So the concept has been sitting with council as an unrealised opportunity for over 10 years. In 2025, I took up the opportunity once again, recognising at the right moment and the right partnership had finally arrived to bring this long-standing idea to life. That opportunity arrived last year and approaching Don College to take on the project as a real-life learning experience. College rightly advised that the new 2026 Community Services Cert 2 students should be better placed to deliver the project as part of their assessed learning. Work then began in March this year with council and councillors being alerted at that time. From there, the project encouraged people of all ages to think about the plants and animals that represent our landscape, our heritage and our identity as a community. A highlight certainly has been the leadership shown by Don College students, and I recognise Bella and Bridie from teacher Karen Slade here tonight in attendance. They gathered nominations, spoke with residents, supported consultation activities, and helped drive the public vote. Their work encouraged genuine intergenerational conversations, young people engaging directly with older residents, families and community groups. Importantly, their enthusiasm and community engagement helped reinforce the value of real-world learning, contributing to the momentum behind the revision of the Live and Learn strategy recently adopted by Council. It has been a valuable learning experience for the students, the judging panel and the wider community. Sincere thanks goes to the Independent Judging Committee, who brought together experience in local history, business, arts, Indigenous perspectives, youth and environmental knowledge. Their assessment ensured that the process was fair, balanced and credible. I also recognise the judges, independent judges here tonight, of Bob Bellicott and Sylvia Sayers, also in the gallery. This project also received strong support from across the city. Radio 718, CFM, Devonport encouraged community participation. The Devonport Library provided a welcome space for information and voting materials. Typically, Stony Rise Village promoted the vote and looks to support artists incorporating the chosen species into their projects, their public art. And the City of Melbourne shared insights from its own inland process with thanks to Officer Lee Harrison. The public vote has now identified the two species that received the strongest support, the ones our community believe best represent Devonport's landscape, heritage and future. Council's officers noted in the agenda tonight portrays that they have not been involved in the process and cannot provide advice on the suitability of the selected emblems. It is important to recognise that officers had every opportunity to be involved, offer guidance or raise any concerns since the project commenced in March. Councillors and officers were kept fully informed throughout budget deliberations, the opening of nominations, at the start of public voting, through email updates and through two PowerPoint presentations, one by Don College students and one by myself at a council workshop with a full council audience. At every stage, councillors and officers had the opportunity to ask questions and provide input. It is also worth acknowledging that Devonport has deep expertise within the community, the very community we live, work and play in. The Independent Judging Committee brought together specialists in native plants, environmental management, local history, Indigenous perspectives, youth engagement, business and the arts. Their collective knowledge ensures that the process is robust, credible and grounded in local identity. This project shows the strength of drawing on community expertise and the value of council supporting community-led initiatives, something first envisaged in 2013, now finally realised. Today's motion simply formalises the choices made by our residents. It strengthens our identity, celebrates our environment, and recognises the contribution of our young people, volunteers and partners. Above all, it reinforces genuine community ownership. These emblems belong to the people of Devonport, shaped by their voices, their pride in our place. I commend the motion to council and encourage my fellow councillors to support their community.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor, and I just wish to congratulate Councillor Martin on the significant body of work that was undertaken in not only bringing this notice of motion to council, but everything with respect to going through a process that Devonport has become well respected and renowned for, and that being engaging with its community in some of its bigger, broader decisions. Now, having said that, I think it's relevant that whilst Councillor Martin pointed out that staff haven't had any involvement, that's our job. It's our role as elected officials on behalf of the community to bring these things to this table, to this place, and to have that debate and discussion and make decisions. But more broadly, the fact that this one's actually had so much community involvement, and a real credit must go to the potential sense of achievement if this is successful tonight. To those young people, you know, we talk about building nature in and sort of, having a better connection with the community and our community. But more importantly, how we can promote what and who we are. And I think this process has been very robust, and I think one that we all should support, whether we agree or whether we don't. I think it's the first step in the right direction with respect to demonstrating to the community that we do listen, and we can act on the information that they provide us, and it's fairly resounding with respect to the results of the survey. And also with Councillor Martin, I'd like to thank those volunteers that helped pulling all of this together. I think that's been a significant effort in itself. So again, with Councillor Martin, I would also commend my fellow councillors to support the notice motion.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the councillors? Councillor Dorchinski.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I commend this to the councillors to adopt this. It is a process that the Don College has worked with. I was with one of their presentations at the beginning, and the girls were just a bit nervous, and they were stepping through the process, the learning process of presenting something to the community, then for the community to vote on. I also was at the announcement, and wow, they have come a long way. It's great to see the progress. Commend the teacher, Karen Slade, Bella and Brady. You've done a great job, and even acknowledging the fact that they've spoken to an artist that may present it in their eyes what this could be. So I think, councillors, we should accept this as a very positive input from the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? Councillor Hollister.
It's a survey. It's quite convincing as to which one is to pick. But high numbers compared to any of the others. So I support what the kids have come up with. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions? Councillor.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Laura, but I thought the fauna selection was bang on. I love that blue ring. I had a couple of questions and a question. Noting the comments in the report that officers haven't been involved in process. My first question is, had council been involved in the process? Are there any steps that were missing, or is there anything that would have been done differently? And my second question was, what are the financial implications, please? Through you, Mayor.
Yes, through you, Mayor. The comments there, I guess, intended to be neutral comments. They're just clarifying that there hasn't been any professional advice provided by council, by staff to councillors. So it's not to say whether that's necessary or not. It's as to what would be done different. I'm not sure I can answer that. I'm not across the process, but we just to clarify that there hasn't been any advice provided by staff in relation to the selection. So, but that's intended to be a neutral comment. As to what the cost might be, again, we don't get any understanding what the expectation would be with the to them should they be selected. So it depends on what ultimately council would like to do with them, I guess, if there's branding or marketing or whatever that might be, would need to be budgeted for accordingly.
Thank you.
Further questions? Councillor Ennis?
I think there's been a great learning opportunity for the students. It's been clearly taken up, and their involvement has been pretty good by the look of this report. I don't know where this might end up yet, and I think that a valid point about what we might do moving forward. I suppose that's another part of this. That's not part of this. This is just saying we'll be happy with it. What we're going to do, or what may happen with it in the future, is we're not sure of at this stage, unless someone can tell them.
Well, where do we go there?
With all due respect, probably my closing.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate that. Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got some ideas of where we could go next, but I'll leave council. I'll leave that to other people to decide. I was more interested in what we've currently got. So we've currently got a top-knot pigeon, which I had to look up on Wikipedia, and as Councillor Martin said, not exactly a local regular that you see a lot. I noticed there was an accidental sighting in Sprayton about 70 odd years ago, but not in my lifetime have I seen a top knot pigeon. So I've got no affinity with that bird and no attachment. But it is a part of allegedly the council seal and crest circa 1908. So first question, do we actually use that at all?
Yes, council seal, so it's used regularly.
Okay, never noticed it before, so obviously doesn't feature too prominently. So there would be one thing that would probably need to be updated off the top of the head. I again quite like the fairy wren as a overwhelmingly popular response. As Councillor Martin said, all councillors were able to vote, and I did. I encouraged other people that I know in my circles to go onto the online survey and vote as well, and have their opportunity. And also, as a school teacher, I've noticed how this filtered down into me in a classroom level, and was really impressed how the information was trickled down to us, and that it was informed choice. We had a democratic vote, and we chose one of each within our class as well. So I think there's been a really good amount of opportunity for people to have their say on this. And 1,700 votes, or almost 1,700 votes, is really commendable for community consultation. Obviously, there's a lot closer between the native white flag iris and the white career in the flora section, but happy to take the recommendation of the independent group and their ruling that native flag, white flag iris should be adopted as the floral emblem. So perhaps to get that out, we could encourage through our building nature in that it's incorporated into some gardens, or geez, it'd be great if every resident in Devonport that wanted to have one and proudly plant it on their nature strip or in their back garden. That would be another way of getting the word out. Again, haven't crunched the numbers on that, but just an idea. And one more final idea, maybe won't be as popular around the table, but we've currently got two other birds featured quite prominently in the city, almost divisively across the river. So perhaps in the future, if there was ever an amalgamation of football teams, the Magpies and the Swans might become the Devonport United Fairy Wrens. And that's a Devonport team I can definitely get behind. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Councillor White. I didn't think you'd get that controversial towards the end. Anyway,
It's not going to happen.
further comments or questions from the councillor? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I will be supporting this motion tonight. I think it's a great job that you've done, Councillor Martin, and the amount of response is evidence of that. I would have liked to have more information of what actually the implications are of adopting this, but I understand that that's not the motion tonight, but I'd like to have further discussions about what that does mean. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got round to everybody. Thank you. I do hark back to the days we used to have a daily festival. So I guess I don't know how many dailies we used to have here and whether that was a thing. And, you know, they've got the Tulip Festival up in Wynyard, and that certainly has done a lot for Warragul Wicket. I like anything that helps with branding and marketing. That's the one thing I do like. So it'll just be interesting if we get to that point, what that could look like. I'm not sure why we ended up having a daily festival. Someone must have just planted dahlias and decided it's a daily festival. But then, you know, it had its day and we moved on from that. But there was a daily princess and a daily queen and all those things, and we had a big parade. So, and I was thinking about that, I was just reading all this. So anyway, it's very interesting. Certainly something we hadn't looked at before, except back in 2012, I think, Councillor Martin, was about when we looked at something like similar. So I guess we're back at that stage again, and I will ask you to close the debate, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the data was suggested as a possibility, but the independent judging panel advised that it's not Indigenous to the area.
No.
So therefore it wasn't considered to be a finalist. Today's motion simply formalises the choice made by our residents. It strengthens our identity, celebrates our environment, and recognises a strong contribution of our young people, volunteers and partners. Above all, it reinforces community ownership. These emblems belong to the people of Devonport, shaped by their voices, their stories and their pride in our place. They deepen our sense of connection and belonging, and they open the door to creativity, curiosity and imagination across our schools, our artists, our businesses, tourism partners and our community. Importantly, these emblems will open the doors to new opportunities. We're already seeing this with typically Stony Rise Village, where the chosen species will hopefully be incorporated into their public artwork. The new $7.6 million mental health hub being built by Fair Brothers at the entry to our CBD also presents a chance to include and celebrate our emblems, using art to support wellbeing and creating a visual link to our city's identity. Likewise, the new $61 million stadium with its dedicated St Luke's Wellness Hub offers another opportunity to showcase our emblems and connect them with programs that encourage healthier living. And with the two new Spirits of Tasmania vessels soon to be operational, we also have a major opportunity with the potential to feature our emblems on board, providing passengers an early connection with our city and our story and encouraging overnight stays, allowing themselves time to explore our city and its identity. These emblems provide recognisable storytelling tools that help people understand who we are, what we value, and what makes Devonport special. With Council's adoption tonight, we'll also soon open the next step, inviting residents to provide their friendly local name for their fauna emblem, the superb fairy wren. This is another chance for the community to shape its own identity, to celebrate what makes Devonport unique, and to continue building a shared story that belongs to all of us. This is a clear and positive opportunity for us all to do what we are elected to do, and that is to represent the community. And then receiving 1,656 votes certainly surpasses what we've been used to with Speak Up Devonport, which usually rounds off around about 400 votes. So it's 4 times the amount that council usually receives. This has been a community-driven project. I'd like to recognise Councillor Viney for actually going online and voting, Councillor Wilchinski also for voting, and Councillor Murphy for voting, and even providing a recommendation. I think it was Shearwater, was it? Yeah, mutton bird, which was interesting. Not unexpected from Councillor Murphy, but interesting in the most. So I again commend the motion to council and encourage my fellow councillors to do exactly that, and that is support their community. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. We're moving to item 4, planning authority matters. I now announce that council intends to act as a planning authority under regulation 29 of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 25 and the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act of 93 for the consideration of all reports under agenda section 4. That being said, 4.1 is 128 Tuggerah Road, Tuggerah subdivision. If I could have a mover of the recommendation, please.
So moved.
Councillor Murphy, and a seconder, please. Councillor Hollister. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, this one's attracted a significant amount of interest from members of our community with the representations received. However, the application itself and the responses provided have addressed all of those. And I think this is just another step in the development of that precinct in that area of Devonport, and the professional advice that we have received and which we're going to make a decision on here tonight is something that I don't have any questions for or of, and would encourage my fellow councillors to support it.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister.
And as a
You better put your light on. I don't know if he's on. Thank you.
the planners have recommended this for passing, and I think it's with the conditions that should be quite okay, especially I think part 3 and part 5 agreements that the registration of pension title is to what's in their final plan for the bushfire hazard management. So I recommend the subdivision.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? Councillor Innes. Sorry.
My question is public contribution of 5% of land. Where is that going to happen, or do we know already? When is that decided?
Yes.
It's a contribution, 5% of the value, a monetary contribution. So we're not asking for land, we're asking for money in lieu of land. So that will go into the general fund.
And what do we do with the money? It just goes into what? Parking?
No, it has to go to parks.
You know how much it is?
No, we don't know until they want to lodge the final plan. They have to prepare evaluation, and then we take 5% of whatever the valuation says.
Question. I'm looking at the picture, figure 5. It sort of shows there's a bit of bush around the outside and lots of bush not in the middle. Is that how the block was? Just mostly empty in the middle and just a little bit of bush around the outside, or did they cut it down? What happened?
Yes, so through you, Matt, they got a forest practices plan to remove the vegetation. And they did that previously as well, about 15 years ago or so. So it's been logged a couple.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister.
Question. The 5%,
Sorry.
the 5% used to go to playground equipment, so isn't funding still down there?
Yes, I believe so. Department stocks, so how that needs to be used in.
Any further questions from the councillors? Councillor Shane, did you have a question?
I did, but Councillor Ennis already asked about this. So
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mark.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'll be supporting the application. But I do have a strong concern that where we keep on chipping off little bits of land to suit development, that we're in danger of a loss of environment for our animals and homes for our animals. This little chips that we keep on taking off, and we think that's fine, certainly adds up in the long run to significant habitat. So I just mention that because, even with the invasion of or the arrival of the bird flu, it was mentioned in the news reports that loss of habitation is certainly going to cause some carnage amongst our wildlife in regards to survival, because they've got nowhere to go to, and you're left out in the open. So I mentioned that as a current issue, and that's we just seem to be chipping away and allowing development at the loss of some of that habitat. But I'll be supporting the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Wilczynski.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, two things. I was at the LEGAT local government conference with what's happening with our future with the environment and the change. And there was a very great presentation from RACT, knowing what our land is and how we look after our land. And, it's something we need to build into our subdivisions, because the land is there, yes. We've got to keep some habitat, but we also have to protect from fire, which is our most likely problem because of all our nature. So I'll be saying yes to the recommendation that council should look at how we can build our environment protection into our planning, which is a state government planning. So it's a two-way street. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comments from the councillors? Councillor Moore.
Thank you. Yes, I will definitely be supporting this motion. Just so the representatives do know, we do actually read them, and Ms. Wilden, I did find your representation to be interesting, and I appreciated your representation. Regardless, I still think when it is assessed against the provisions of the scheme, that I think this is an exciting development. I understand the environmental implication, but we need houses and we need land and we need development, and there's people here, there's people in our community that are ready to buy land, to buy houses to live in. And I don't personally think that this piece of land should be kept aside and not planned on, and to even have a longer process to go through when we as a council have prioritised and would like to see more houses and more people in those houses.
Thank you. Further comments from the councillors? Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank my fellow councillors for comments. I might get a little bit off track, but not too far off track, because I think it's really, really relevant.
Thank you.
It's really interesting when we talk about wildlife and wildlife corridors, habitat, and this, that, and the other. And for one who spends a significant amount of time in the great outdoors, in the bush, and this, that, and the other, and even though I don't look like it, I do spend a fair bit of time walking around the place, and most of that's in the bush. It's really interesting when you walk around some of these habitats and find how much it aren't supporting the native fauna of the area. If it wasn't for the residential homes on the periphery of most of the Don Reserve, the wallabies would starve. Because there's no grass inside there for them to eat, because of the sheer numbers, because there's no natural predator anymore. So I think and I agree with Councillor Martin, there needs to be some balance, but I think we've got the balance right. And we're always never going to agree with respect to what is the right balance. However, I think we need to be, from acting as a planning authority, we sitting around this table who make this decision are not planners, but we have to act on the best advice. And I believe in this particular application, the advice that we have received from expert planners more than adequately answers any of the questions that have been raised through representations. And therefore, based on that professional advice, I see no reason why we should not support it.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Therefore, I ask all those in favour.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
I'll have a show of hands, please. For is Councillor Murphy, Councillor Wilczynski, Councillor Martin, Councillor Hollister, Councillor Viney, Councillor Moore, Councillor Shane, Councillor Jarman, and against Councillor Ennis. Sorry, I said that wrong. Therefore, it's passed. Thank you very much. Item 5 is reports. 5.1 is workforce accommodation framework. If I can have a motion, please. Councillor Shane, and second was Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Andy. A lot of comments. I think I'd like to acknowledge the work that CCA has put into the framework. I think there's a couple of, there's a few missed opportunities with the document. Looking at the guidelines or criteria that they're setting out components of renewable projects, it's fairly sort of basic points that a planning consultant would pick up on behalf of their client anyway. What I would love to see, and I don't think this is still in draft, is perhaps taking a leaf out of New South Wales book, where in an effort to fast track housing, that provided some pre-approved designs for housing, both medium density and I'd say anything of it anyway, for example, medium density. How fantastic would it be? What positive signal would that send to people wanting to invest in our region if we said, look, here's our framework, these are all the things we're going to be asking you. However, if you really want to fast track accommodation for your workforce, here's a pre-approved design that maybe suits 10 people or 30 people or 50 people. You don't need to worry too much about what it looks like, we've already done it for you, and also go through the planning to make sure that it's as much as possible, all the planning issues are worked through. With indulgence, I've just got one more point to make about this. We have some of the best advanced manufacturing industries in the state up here. Bernie maybe, but also Devonport, I'm sure. Should give Bernie a club because I really do. Look, got a trombone. Anyway, Bernie, for example, but also timber. Can you imagine if one of the models that we, Creative Coast put up for some of this modular housing or temporary housing was a modular with sustainable timber. That there are some really good examples. It's great looking architecture. easy to roll out. There's so many ways that you could offer something to people moving workforces into our region that signals that we're serious about fast tracking their endeavour and serious about fast tracking their investment. And to me personally, this framework just doesn't cut it. It's too motherhood. I think they'd probably be doing it anyway with their planning consultant. So perhaps I would respectfully ask it could be fleshed out a little bit more so that sitting by the side of all these sort of standard criteria, all of which are reasonable, we might offer something that's a bit more bespoke that might suit their purposes and be very easy to roll out.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Clearly, with major projects coming to North West Tasmania, the clear plan is needed for workforce accommodation. This framework provides us with a consistent approach, which is badly needed right across the coast, and also provides a sensible, structured way to plan for the needs of and opportunities for large projects, accommodations, and or even events that may come up. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. But I think Councillor Shane or Deputy Mayor Shane hit the nail on the head, and I wholeheartedly agree with her comments. I do, and my opinion would be, or my comment would be, that I think it's lightweight because the government's lightweight in this particular area. We've got a minister sitting there who's clearly overwhelmed and quite clearly is really, planning in this state is so, I can't think of the word, it is so difficult and it takes so long to get anything. And I think you're right with respect to modular buildings and having a fast track pathway like New South Wales would be perfect if we grew the right, especially from a modular perspective, even if we grew the right trees. Because we grow radiata pine and not spruce pines, which are far better for building than what the radiata ones are, we would get a lot better outcomes, very similar to what they use in Europe. However, the Swedish models, where they just knock them all together in a matter of days, it's fantastic and a very good form of housing. But I think this is probably as wishy-washy as Councillor Shane said, motherhood statement based as it is, because it'll sit with the state government, it will sit on the desk somewhere down in Hobart, some boffin, and nothing will happen for months and months and months because the fact that no one's got any gears engaged, that it'll just sit there and the wheels just spin and nothing will happen. So, it's great. The Cradle Coast Authority's gone and done the work, just even though it's as lightweight as what it can be, but when we're dealing with the government that we've got, the fact that they sit in minority and there isn't, opposition's too worried about political point scoring than what they are about seeing the best interests of Tasmania fought for. I think that, we're going to keep getting what we're getting, and it's unfortunate because there is an absolute dire need for this type of housing. And it's going to be the economies in our region that are going to miss out. And that's unfortunate because, this council has been so proactive in making decisions around growth, but we're going to be hampered because the simple fact is there isn't the will in the southern end of the state to see that happen. So, it is what it is.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? Hollister?
Recently, we passed anything where a caravan was allowed to be connected to water and sewage. The thing was that they had to build a house within 2 years. Now, we're getting anywhere with tiny homes as the planning is that it is possible to build much smaller ones that haven't got our wheels on the tiny home and all this sort of thing. So another caravan that's not a home.
Hello, Ms. Swanson.
Through you, Mayor, the legislation and for
already exists in the planning system and the building system for people to have a variety of different structures already. So does that answer your question, Councillor Hollister?
Why so many people having trouble? Maybe not our municipality, maybe it's others.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Look, anyone that you might speak to that's got concerns, I encourage you to make an appointment, come set staff, and I'll work through their individual situations and try and find a suitable outcome for them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wilczynski.
Thank you, Mayor. Just again, something that I've had the privilege to be down at the local LEGAT conference, and the minister was there saying that he's worked extremely hard. I won't use his language, but he's worked extremely hard to pull it together, and there will be something by the end of the year, if not in place by the beginning of next year. So I accept what you've said, Councillor Murphy, but he used strong words with what's happening in the planning, and the focus is to get it right. So let's hope that does happen. We will see. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions? If not, I will ask Councillor Sheen to close.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just to recap, look, with the pending development around renewable energy that we're going to be enjoying over the next decade, it's one of the most exciting times probably in the region's history for a long time, since hydro. It's that big. So I think...
Since pulp mills.
Okay, we're ad-libbing that. Anyway, it's very exciting. Commend Cradle Coast Authority for starting a discussion around accommodation. It's clearly been on everyone's agenda for a while, but let's try and come up with some strategies and actions that match the excitement of the opportunities that we're about to be given. Let's try and harness this opportunity to make, to benefit us economically, Devonport and the region. And there are opportunities there to be had. I think we've just got to take a bit more initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.2 is the partnership agreement. If I can have a move, please.
So moved.
Whoa. Oh, I'd say Councillor Viney. Beat Councillor Moore. Councillor Moore, you have to second. Of course, because I did have another offer over here too. Okay. Councillor Viney.
And you just know he's going to take all your talking points. You'll have nothing left to say. Thank you, Mayor, for letting me get in first. So there's three partnerships there for recommendations, all very different and diverse in our community, but all very important and in different facets of the community. So the Men's Shed, the Devonport Stedford and the East Devonport Neighbourhood House for varying amounts and terms, all worthwhile programs, and happy to support those. It is really good in this report, if you scroll down a bit further, how many of the other community groups and events are also supported by council. It's a good reminder to see how much is done in our community and how the council can support that financially and also in kind. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Moore, it's your turn.
I just actually had a couple of questions. In terms of the City of Devonport, first question, if we look at the table, there's a mixture of ones that say in-kind funding. Are we transitioning to everything will be in the amount per annum? Sorry, on page 40.
Ms. Riley.
Those two that have that in-kind funding or a mixture of both is just us highlighting what we do for those two organisations with the in-kind.
Okay, so just a clarification around the Stedford, because it was $10,000 and something in terms of technical support. So that's not counted as in kind?
It is. Technically, it actually comes out of the Paranacle Arts Centre budget, whereas this is what comes out of the community services budget. We could clarify.
And the bin collection for the Christmas event?
That is costed to community services.
Okay, so it's only in kind, sorry, if it comes from
Community services.
but it's now not listed in kind for the community house event.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Moore. These are the older agreements too.
Yeah.
So the new amounts of in kind that are costed to those two new updated,
Yes.
that is separate.
So that's- yeah.
Yep, sorry, that's historical.
Yep. And just one little clarification. In the Devonport Stedford, so we give $10,000 towards operational costs. There's like this yellow box in the attachment. It says the agreement does not include the City of Devonport Stedford hire and use of the Devonport Paranacle Centre. Do we have any particular different agreement, or is it just stating that we just give normal community rates to the estate? That's all that means.
That's correct. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? Councillor Hollister.
Just a statement, I've got a couple here that I've probably got a conflict with due to family community connections, and I'm also a board member of the Silver Birds statement group.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments or questions from the councillors? Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, these three organisations do make a real contribution to our community, socially and culturally. These agreements are modest and fit within the budgets, and will certainly help these organisations deliver valuable outcomes for our community. And I do like to promote the upcoming Devonport Stedfords, though not having performed in it before, will be attending. Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
It's always our first time. Councillor Bilchinski.
Thank you, Ed. Yes, I agree with everyone really, except all the questions from Councillor Moore. I'm not sure where all that was happening. Clarification, I think. Good. Well done. But this just shows what council actually works with the community. And we are more than rates, roads and rubbish, that the community is expecting support, and I think we should give it. It's very positive and it builds us stronger if we work together. It's stronger in our community, strengthens our community anyhow. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions? Councillor Shen.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to state my support for the funding as well. Unlike Councillor, I have been in the Stedford with Reading Herbert playing the piano. I also wanted to make a shout out to the men's sheriffs. That's a wonderful endeavour. Very pleased with that funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Through you, Mayor, just to clarify that in kind, it might be worth putting that in the resolution. It is our error. It should be mentioned there, I think, for completeness. So if the mover and the seconding are happy, voting that in kind on the Stedford recommendation, I think would be.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's been included. Thank you.
Just update that. So it's 0.2 Devonport Stedford on year term 2026 $10,000 plus 10,560 in kind. Just captures the value of the technician's work that we do.
Thank you.
Apologies.
All good. Any further comments or questions? If not, Councillor Hollister.
The Harbour of Tasmanian and Harbour of Arboretum, that's 22,000 a year. Pretty sure that we used to do it for 30,000. Too sure how long ago, but I'm just wondering if, we're supporting that to develop as much as we probably should do.
Through you, Mayor, just to clarify for Councillor Hollister, that table is just for background information of all the current agreements that are in the current budget. The Arboretum agreement isn't up for renewal tonight.
Yeah.
It's a strike. Thank you. If there isn't any further comment or question, I will ask Councillor Viney to close.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank the other councillors for their contributions. Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. 5.3 domestic curbside and contamination checks and strike system. If I could have a mover, please. Oh, Councillor Moore, will give that, and Councillor Martin, you have just a second.
Now,
Okay, Councillor Moore, go.
Yes, I'm happy to support both of the recommendations. I was interested to read about the strike system, and I think unfortunately that is something that eventually you have to do so that we're not wasting whole truckloads of FOGO. Also happy to see that the Devonport statistics are better than the Northwest statistics in terms of compliant bins. So happy to pass this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
thank you, Mayor. Yes, this program shows that most residents are doing the right thing, but however, contamination is still an issue and causing avoidable costs and safety risks. This new strike system will strengthen community education of what to do correctly, providing clear, staged feedback to households that repeatedly don't do the exact right thing, and hopefully will result in improved safety for workers and help reduce our waste and our costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? Councillor Murphy's waving.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick one. Is it retrospective as the commencement date's the 1st of July? So in other words, have we already got someone on the hit list that we can go back and sort of, we need to give them a positive reminder that they haven't done the right thing. It's just because the implementation started on the 1st of July, it's not the 1st of July.
Yes, through you, Mayor. So if there's been any identified since the 1st of July, my understanding would be that they would have been provided with a strike.
Okay, so we're already doing it and we're just endorsing it now.
Correct, endorsing the process that's been rolled out across the coast.
Thanks.
Councillor Murphy, they do take turns in which councillors they're doing. I don't know if they've got to us directly straight away. So, thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? Councillor Lyon.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councillor Moore said, the Devonport stats are good. Obviously, room for improvement. I find it interesting that even though that curbside recycling's been around for so much longer, we're still failing in our separating our waste from recycling. Perhaps further education is going to be constantly required. I know I'm constantly pulling things, well, not constantly. I feel like I went over, I put something in the recycling bin, I'm fishing something else out that someone else has put there. And when I'm taking out our FOGO bowl, I'm sometimes taking stuff out that's edible and I'm diverting that from the FOGO as well. So we're doing our self-checks and it's not rotten food that I'm eating, it's just edible food that's come out of a lunchbox. Sorry, I should have clarified that. It's a clean FOGO. Might just stop there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lyon. We know so much more than we did know a minute ago. Any other comments from the councillors? Councillor Foster, you've got lights on.
Yes, just a question. Statement really. Units. People probably need to make sure that the number on their bin is to their unit, otherwise they might be getting a fine for somebody else's bin.
Point. Thank you very much. Thank you. I must admit, but it's a small amount of time I've been on council. We've been improving all the time in educating people of what they need to do in their own households. And I can't reiterate it more. I'm a broken record on this. We've got to sort within our own house. And that's the whole point of us reducing waste. If you don't start to do that, we're back in the day, we didn't recycle. Then we got a little black bin and people said, well, I'll never fill that. and now we've got a big yellow bin that's now the recycling, and now we've got recycling rewards out there, and people were, I think it was top on the northwest coast in Devonport for people going out and getting 10 cents or whatever it is back per unsquashed can. So, you know, people are doing it really well in some factors. If we don't do this strike system, we can't fix the problems that are coming through that they are seeing at the other end. People tend to forget about rubbish as soon as they've thrown it out. And I guess that's the whole point. We need it high in people's minds. You need to think about when you're going to the supermarkets, whether you can bring in less rubbish into your house. The more people can start to think about it and constantly be worried about it and constantly be moaning to us about it, I think it's the best thing, because then at least they're thinking about reducing waste. So, you know, Devonport do a really good job. The councils across the North West Coast are doing a really great job, and we're getting better at it all the time. So bring it on is my favourite thing. If I could ask Councillor Moore to close.
Yes, Mayor, apart from worrying about Councillor Viney's snacking habits, I'll consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. 5.4 is the Aquatic Centre for heater replacement tender. If I could have the move, please.
So moved.
Councillor Murphy, and the
Second.
second was Councillor Viney. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. This is merely just a procedural one. We've sort of discussed this at workshop level extensively, running through all the different scenarios, options made available to us. Quite obviously, it's integral that we provide the opportunity for the CEO to go and have the conversation with the commercial operator. I think that's critically important. You know, it does cost the ratepayers Devonport a significant amount of money. Even though I'm a big believer, if you don't live in the Devonport municipality, you should pay 3 times what people in Devonport pay for. So all those people from the Trove and Knowles to benefit from the kindness of the ratepayers of Devonport, they need to be reminded of that on a daily basis. I think that it's a reasonable outcome. The system that's there has been there for a very, very long period of time. So, you know, having a pool at my home, I know how expensive they are and a pain in the neck, but you've got to do what you've got to do. And I think the tenders that have been provided represent reasonable value for money when you look at the pricing that was afforded to the council officers and the tender team. So, yes, there you go.
Thank you. Councillor Viney.
Thank you, Mayor. Two main parts, as Councillor Murphy has alluded to, allowing the CEO to finalise the contract negotiations with Belgravia Leisure. For mine, I think they do a pretty good job. I'm at the Aquatic Centre at least twice a week. It always seems really well managed and clean. Certainly compared to some other comparable facilities around the state I've been to, I always feel like it presents really well, and it's really well frequented. Obviously, not just from people within the Devonport community, as again Councillor Murphy's alluded to. The Devonport ratepayers are really doing the heavy lifting when it goes to financing that facility, but it is really well used. And obviously replacing the current boiler. Again, thank you to the people who put the report together with the tender process. And as discussed, we did. I talked about it at length at workshop, and then within the budget deliberations, and changing over to electrical HVAC as significant cost savings in the next 5 years. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? Yep. Councillor Shin.
Yeah. I would argue the usage goes way further from bulks. So there isn't really a facility like ours for quite a long way. Just a quick question actually in relation to the heater, but is there expansion space available at the Aquatic Centre, or is it now landlocked and like the pools that we have is what we'll have forever and ever?
There's room at the plug.
Yeah. There it is.
Through you, Matt. Look, there hasn't been any work done on any expansion I'm aware of, but, and I take that on notice, but there is a bit of room around the area, so I'm sure there'd be options at a cost.
Definitely at a cost. I'm certainly not saying that we should jump out the gates and do it, but just sort of looking and observing. I think only a couple of years ago we were looking at parking and in the aquatic centre and wanting to give it to someone, but now the parking is at capacity. It's just getting busier and busier, and I was just intrigued. At what point do we sort of say, right, we need to maybe look at a additional infrastructure in that precinct? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillor? Councillor Hollister.
Surrounding land, council owned or is it government land?
Depending on
Ground land.
Yeah, it's Crown land.
Want to expand, I presume we just have to follow the government.
Yeah, through there, that'd be one of the steps. There is some old landfill there. There's a number of considerations. Obviously, the Don Reserve, car parking, so something you haven't done any work on, but if the future point, something council wanted to address, we could.
Thank you. Councillor Wilczynski.
I'm just going to say a sequel would be great.
Oh, God, we're getting off track here. All good. Thank you. And further comments or questions via the 5.4 subject that we are talking about?
Sorry.
Apologies, sir.
That's all right. If not, I will ask Councillor Murphy to close.
Thank you, Mayor. I note a number of comments from my fellow councillors. Really interesting around expansion that would require harvesting a few trees, feeding into some of the Don Reserve. Just how that'd go. Because we need more car parks, that's less trees. But anyway, and I think going to Councillor Viney's point and Deputy Mayor Shane's point, I think at some point in time, the new council will have to have a serious conversation with respect as to whether, if you live outside of the Devonport municipal area, whether you benefit of paying the same rate as the ratepayers of Devonport. I don't think that's unfair. I think it's a serious conversation that needs to be had, because this type of investment not only goes to the health and well-being of our own citizens and ratepayers, but to the broader region. And I think there needs to be a serious conversation around that at some point in time. And it wouldn't be that difficult. You just have to demonstrate where you live or where you're from. And if it's not in Devonport or in our LGA, guess what? You pay a little bit more, and I think they'll pay, because it is, as Councillor Viney pointed out, an exceptional resource that's available to a lot of people. So, and it is well maintained, as you said. So, having said that, Mayor, look forward to seeing some of the savings come forward in the long term.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.5 is the contract for the cleaning of the council facilities. If I can have a mover, please. Councillor Moore and Councillor Viney followed Councillor Moore. So Councillor Moore.
Yes, I'm happy to recommend this report. I do just have one question, and I apologise if it's silly, but when we say that it's satisfactory, is it either satisfactory or not satisfactory, or are we saying it's just satisfactory? Like if I get something satisfactory, I'm not that happy with satisfactory. And so I'm asking, are we making some kind of level in terms of this? I don't know if I'm talking to you, sorry. Sorry, guys, I'm not sure who.
Just to provide a bit of context,
Yes,
probably
thank
written in the view of it's either satisfactory, continue, or not satisfactory, don't continue. If cleaning, it could always be, there's always room for improvement. But they meet the criteria around the contract and are delivering on what they need to deliver, and we believe it's satisfactory, and we should execute the options to continue.
Sure, thank you. I just wasn't sure if it was a judgment call or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. I don't want to be a satisfactory. Councillor Vine.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to note that it's a contract extension for the cleaning services across council, given that it's at the moment satisfactory. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, councillor Moore to close.
Question.
Oh, wait, you've got councillor Hollister. Sorry, councillor Hollister.
A lot of the taps and stuff in the public toilets, and I know some of them are about to be replaced, but they're loose, wobbly, hard to turn on, hard to turn off. I know that'd be maintenance.
Have
not
you reported
cleaning.
an issue, councillor Hollister?
Okay.
Yes. You could report an issue, councillor Hollister.
But there's a lot like that.
Thank you, councillor Hollister. I'll ask councillor Moore to close.
Consider it close, Mayor.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. So we move on to 5.6, the Cradle Coast Waste Management Group Annual Plan of Budget. If I could have a move, please. The recommendation. Silence.
So moved.
Councillor Martin, thank you. And the seconder, councillor.
Yeah.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the document highlights regional waste programs that help reduce landfill. It also outlines Cradle Coast delivery of practical educational and diversion services that we can do on our own, and the report is for noting. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Murphy.
Yeah, I agree, and just note that this is the end of the first of the 4 year grant deed. So, yeah, it's interesting to see what sort of results that we actually get from the landfill fund levy, and see how that can again enhance what we've got. So, yeah, it's good job.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councils? If not, councillor Martin to close, please.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.7. Motion to make bylaw. If I could have a mover, please.
So moved.
Councillor Viney, I think. Councillor Martin, will you have to second?
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Martin Viney.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe this one is just merely procedural. Time's up on this. Sorry, I've lost it. It's not a report. It is a thank you bylaw. Yeah, intend to change or update the bylaw. Nothing further. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Agree with councillor Viney's required routine step to keep this bylaw up to date and to continue to protect our parks and reserves, and is required by the Act. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, again, 10 years is a long time, and I think you've only got to look at the technology and some of the things that are impacting our parks and reserves, specifically electric scooters, electric bikes. And I think the bylaw is going to provide us with the capacity to deal, because they have actually become a menace, and not just within our parks and reserves, but also in other Devonport Golf Club and bowls clubs and whatever else. And I think, hopefully we'll actually be able to get some results by utilisation of this particular bylaw. It'd be good to see the bylaw really robust and tight, if you like, especially if we can crush their scooters.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Any further comments or questions? Through me then. No, it's Councillor Viney to close, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I think Councillor Murphy's alluding to the increase in the report. It's called personal mobility devices, which includes all of those. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.8, the Day and Flying Trust.
So moved.
Councillor Sheen. And second to Councillor Martin.
Yes.
Councillor Sheen.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the motion that was raised at the last council meeting, after which we had a workshop and I discussed it a little further. I'll let councillors talk to that individually, but once again, I would like to say I support the decision of the trustees, and I'd like to extend my thanks and gratitude, including Councillor Hollister here for their service on the trust over many years, and just to acknowledge the original intention of the trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. The origins of the Dame Lions Trust Fund go back to the late 1960s, 70s, when Dame Lions dedicated the proceeds from the sale of her memoir, So We Take Comfort, to establish the Widows Trust Fund. The purpose of this early fund was to provide practical financial assistance to disadvantaged individuals in our community. Over time, the Widows Trust Fund was deemed no longer necessary and was officially wound up in the late 1970s, with the remaining funds transferred to the Devonport City Council. Administration of the remaining money continued under a deed of trust known as the City of Devonport's Mayor's Fund. In August 2009, Council re-established the fund as the Mayor's Charity Trust Fund, continuing its charitable purpose. In October 2016, to mark the centennial of Home Hill and honour Dame Enid's legacy as a national figure and Devonport's resident, Council renamed the fund the Dame Enid Lions Trust Fund. The fund continued with the original intent, providing immediate personal relief to people in Devonport experiencing suffering, distress, misfortune, poverty, illness and destruction or helplessness, and that's mentioned on Council's website. The renaming also reflected Dame Enid Lions' long history of community service, including her decision decades earlier to donate her book proceeds to help those in need. Trust also provides a sound foundation platform for the community to channel fundraising efforts, quoted from Devonport City Council's website again. Council may very well note this report, but it's very disappointing that the Dame Enid Lions Trust Fund has reached the point of dissolution. The original notice of motion I sent provided 5 clear steps designed to strengthen governance and revitalise the trust, yet not all of these steps were carried out, particularly the review of trustees and the opportunity for new members to bring fresh ideas, fresh energy and commitment. Instead, the process moved directly to legal advice and no further action, preventing investigation of options such as Home Hill, which some community members had already expressed interest in applying to become a trustee, and was a key reasoning for including point number 5. It also is regrettable that prior to the motion, required quarterly meetings were not held, basically dismissing good governance, oversight of finances, fundraising opportunities and the ability to promote immediate relief to the people experiencing distress and misfortune, the very purpose of the trust. Stronger governance and active leadership would have supported ongoing fundraising, community awareness and, importantly, worthy volunteer trustee engagement, helping preserve the legacy of Dame Enid Lions. But disappointingly, no leadership occurred. Furthermore, when considering the future of the trust, it says in the notes that the trustees will advise where the funds are going to shortly. But I just wonder if organisations such as the Salvation Army, St Vincent de Paul, Anglicare, and even Toaster Kids Charity Inc., I'll declare an interest there, all of which hold the appropriate benevolent DGR status, presented as potential recipients for the remaining funds or share thereof. It is unclear whether trustees were provided with a full range of options or only a single suggestion. This again highlights that key elements of the motion were not actioned. Given the trustees have now resolved to dissolve trust, Council can note the report, but it is undeniably disappointing and sad that a fund created to assist those in need and honouring one of Devonport's most respected citizens and aligned with the heritage we promote at Home Hill has come to an end in this way. In my estimation, the Chair and Deputy Chair have been perceived as falling well short of community expectations, letting those down who are experiencing suffering, distress, homelessness or misfortune, and in preserving a legacy of one of Devonport's most celebrated citizens. I consider it very poor and again extremely disappointing, especially when cost of living has been sprouted around this table many times. Thank you.
Further comments or questions from the councillors? Ms. London.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll agree with a significant amount of what Councillor Martin has said. Hence the reason I was the one that had the motion laid on the table and sent back to the workshop for further discussion. I think it was a good learning curve for people sitting around this table, and hopefully it's a good learning curve for councillors moving forward, the ones that are wanting to restand. And I think that is that whether we like it or not, the will of the council and the decisions that are made around the table need to be supported. It's paramount. And unfortunately, as Councillor Martin has already pointed out, in this instance, that didn't occur. But at the end of the day, realistically, the council really didn't have too much oversight over the trustees anyway. So it is unfortunate. It would have been nice to have seen potentially the trust continue. However, I also acknowledge that a lot of people that have been involved in the trust for a long period of time, even though it had been inactive for a long period of time, had probably lost the will and the passion to continue that. So, so it's there. They've made their decision. There's not much we can do about it, but it needs to be, as I said, a learning curve for people, especially councillors who are intending to stay. Process and governance are extremely important. Whether we agree with those decisions, if a decision is made, we need to support that decision.
Further comments or questions? Councillor Ennis?
Thank you. I think it's pretty clear we support the will of the trustees and dissolve the trust. And I don't really think, and I think that the legacy of Dame Enid Lyons will continue just as strongly. I don't think this will create any tarnish or problem with that. So.
Further comments or questions? Councillor Bulchinski.
Thank you, Mayor. As I was elected in 22, I put my hand up to be on this committee because of what Dame Enid Lyons means to the city, to the state, and the respect that she was trying to look after the welfare of our community. I can see that since this was set up many years ago, and I do respect the work that there were 3 very strong advocates for trustees that worked many years. But as they've noted, that people didn't really know about it in the latter years. So I can see the resolution to have it disbanded and the money to go further forward is obvious. And since Dame Enid set this up and it went through all the processes, there's a lot of welfare groups out there that are trying to look after our community as best they can. I thank the ladies. There were 3 prominent ladies on the trustees that were very respected and did do a lot of work on there. And it's a shame it's going to be wound up, but I think it's a part of time, and Dame Enid Lyons is worth noting as a strong person in the community. But I understand the winding up of the the trustee or the trust. Thank you.
Councillor Hollister?
I think criteria that was set up originally made it too difficult to support most people because there was already funding opportunities that most of those people could use. I think if it's wound up, maybe there was even interest coming from money funds that were left of the organisation. And I think it should still go there. I think it's the only place where any funds that are left go should be either to the council's maintenance of the actual house or even with the school.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, Councillor Sheen, close.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to go over old ground, and I appreciate the warm regards that fellow councillors have for the trustees and the work of the trust. In closing, I'll just say I don't think it was an issue of the trustees losing passion. The legal advice was to the trustees that the criteria becomes so tight with a plethora of very capable organisations now present and active in the community. It's almost impossible to disperse the funds. I won't go over old ground, but I'm very comfortable that the legal advice we got was sound and the trustees acted on that legal advice. I commend the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. 5.9 is the Maidstone Park Advisory.
Second.
Councillor Martin. And second was Councillor Ennis. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. There's two new appointees to the Maidstone Park Advisory Group. Is looking at master plan for the development of the area. Both of them are for the Devonport gymnastics. I actually went out and sought them out to make sure their voices were given the opportunity to be heard, and pleased that they've lodged their submission or expression of interest and urge councillors to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ennis.
Thank you. Yeah, it makes sense that the Devonport Gymnastics Club is represented on this advisory committee, so I'll be supporting.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? Councillor Martin.
Yeah, just briefly, thanks, Mayor. I think it's great that there's some new faces in that committee, and that the gymnastics club is now being represented as well. It's an interesting assortment of groups and recreational activities, and maybe that's setting up how these sorts of groups can work together there for a shared goal. Obviously, with the Devonport Indoor Stadium, when that comes online, again, you've got a bunch of diverse sporting groups that are on paper all pulling in the one direction, but there are going to be conflicts. So obviously the Maidstone Park Committee's gone for a lot longer than I've been around, and it's great to see it continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comment? If not, I'll ask Councillor Martin to close.
Consider close.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. 5.2. All right. 5.10. Not many times we get one of those. The convention centre renaming is not even a What happened there? Councillor Sheen, I think?
Yeah, definitely Sheen.
Hey, Councillor Moore, will you second us? Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Wow. Councillor Shane's already.
Yes, no, I definitely will be supporting this motion. Thank you, Mayor. This is part of a broader strategy to pivot the Paranacle of our convention centre income from being passive income to really providing an extended business model and growing our economic pie. I like the fact that there's a tagline of gathering place. That sits really comfortable with me. But yeah, I just think all of the conference centre strategy is heading in the right direction, and I'll be supporting the mission.
Thank you, Councillor Moore.
Yes, I agree. This moves to clearly identify the venue's location to people that are not here in Tasmania. I do also like the tagline, Tasmania's gathering place. And just to note, as the report does, that it does not change the name of the Paranacle Centre.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors?
Yes, it is very clear now what it is.
Thank you. Councillor Viney, put your finger up.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Again, a very, very quick one. People need to know where to find you and how to find you, and even just doing a search, Devonport Convention Centre is going to lead to a lot more appropriate hits. So it makes sense, sensibly. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gutchinski, put your hand.
Yes, just to say that it's the best step to actually get us on the mark with our new setup, the convention centre. Well done. And I do like the tagline as well.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, look, I love the common sense approach, and this is a common sense approach. And even more importantly, it provides the opportunity for the actual business itself to establish itself so it becomes something saleable for the council. Because then we can sell it. Let's head down the track.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Further comments or questions? If not, Councillor Sheen to close.
Consider the matter closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. Okay, item 6 is information. 6.1 workshops and briefing sessions. If we can have a move, please.
So moved.
Councillor Martin and the seconder. Councillor Sheen. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I think it's all on that report, but to add, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sheen.
Get forward the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments and questions? Councillor Martin, close, please.
Consider closed.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Unanimously. 6.2 is the mayor's report. If I can have a move, please. Councillor Sheen and the seconder.
Second.
Councillor Moore. Councillor Sheen.
Thanks, Mayor. Hugely busy month. I just wanted to note the Devonport Jazz, if I could. Some amazing feedback from the performers on the quality of the sound system. Yeah, the venues, I actually came to a venue here, which they sort of put some carpets on. It's very disconcerting sitting in the council chambers watching jazz. But anyway, that led me to a discussion with a local business owner who suggested that maybe next year we could maybe explore a few more boutique venues hosting the performers. So I'll just make a note of that. But yeah, absolutely fantastic event, and I'm glad the rebranded version went so successfully.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
No, Mayor, another busy month. Nothing to add.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? Yes.
It's a pity I wasn't there at Brett Jaffray's farewell. Well-known character, no doubt, for the council over many, many years.
Yeah, I was nice about the same part of it. Further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, I will ask Councillor Sheen to close.
Close.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. 6.3 is the CEO's report. If I can remove it, please.
So moved.
Councillor Murphy. And a seconder.
Second.
Councillor Viney. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not too sure whether the CEO will be able to provide us with a bit of an update, specifically around meeting with the developer of Devonport Showgrounds, Simon Watts, and can you provide any information with respect to the meeting with Minister Vincent around the Building Tasmania changes, specifically, and around the regional settlement strategy that's been sitting on his desk now, since he's really, really hard for a period of time, not doing anything with it. Whether we've got any information as to when we're actually going to see some action.
Through you, Mayor, in regards to the showgrounds, The developer, Mr. Wan, just indicated that he's going to push ahead with the subdivision that council approved around 2 years ago now, I'd say. He's asked to start meeting with our engineering and planning staff, which is happening in the next few weeks. And he said he'll be staging some of that development. Some of the blocks will go before others. So we expect the latest advice there was around Christmas, early after Christmas. You'll be hoping to see something start. If you have any more information about that one. With Minister Vincent, he met with the Cradle Coast Authority, the mayors and general managers, provided an update on the regional land use strategy. He said that the State Planning Office is currently reviewing the draft that's been submitted by the region. He was hoping to have that out for public comment prior to Christmas. So there wasn't a lot more information around that. Only that the SPO are working through it. The advertised for comment.
Just on that, how long has the SPO had that document?
The Cradle Coast Authority submitted it around the middle of July. And the other one, he provided an update around the machinery of government and the changes with the creation of Building Tasmania, and just went through who's the heads of will be in the different roles within that department. Talked about in December the bits and pieces from state growth that didn't end up in Building Tas will come into this new entity. So the Arts Tasmania, the Tourism Tasmania, some of those functions that previously sat within state growth will go into that part, and Building Tas will be really focused on the delivery of building capital infrastructure projects within the state. Yeah, that's right. The other missing piece that I've missed is the Office of Local Government going across to the Department of Justice. So it was really just an update there on those changes around the structure of government.
Yes, Ennis.
Thank you. Can you give me two things that Alistair Lynch imparted to the leadership group?
We can.
What were the two?
Yeah, we're fortunate to have through our partnership with St Luke's, they offered Alistair to come speak to our leadership group, and it was a really good session. He talked about his experience in sport and related that to the workplace. A couple of learnings. He's very clear on know your role and play your role. Related that to the workplace, and people to be clear on what their role is and to allow them to go and play their role.
Thank you. My second question was about the meeting with the Jack Jumpers and the Jewels. Did you meet them down near the multi-sport complex?
Yeah, through there. Last week we were very lucky to take the CEO and the coach of the Jack Jumpers on site. There's also been some discussion with the coach of the Jewels, who's the guest speaker at our breakfast this Thursday morning. So we did 2 tours on site and we're able to show them how the construction's coming along and give them an understanding of the scale of development and talk about what the opportunities might be. I'm certainly excited about having a presence in Devonport.
Further comments and questions? Sorry, Councillor Shane. Oh,
I'll wait.
I do apologise, Councillor Zorni. I do too. Would you like to speak now? I do apologise.
Probably should. So, I mean, it's the way the meeting's supposed to. I didn't want to make a big deal about it, but I did second it for a reason.
Yeah.
And then Councillor Murphy asked all the questions I was going to ask, but then I thought of another one. So just with the reputation that Devonport has with major projects potentially having extended timelines and going over budget, not ones that council are in charge of, but just generally large projects in Devonport. Since we had the issue with the replaced steel framing at the Devonport Indoor Stadium, can we just get an update of our timeline? Are we are we likely to be able to place a month of completion? And we're still to budget even with that hiccup.
We are. I might just ask Mr. Sterling to provide a bit more detail around that. The steelworks going back up very soon.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So the defect in relation to steelwork is a no cost issue for council in terms of a defect. The forecast completion date is still mid-2027. We are working through and expecting an updated detailed program for Fairbrother in the coming weeks, which we'll share with councillors, but the completion time frame is still forecast for mid-27. But we're just commencing working through with the clubs and the stakeholder groups in terms of what that occupancy process will look like. So the occupancy permit and practical completion still expected mid-27.
Thank you for that update. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologise for that last money. That's the shame.
Thank you. Just regarding the Main Streets Australia conference, that's the peak body for high streets. Yeah. Really good organisation. I'm really pleased that council had representation there. Would it be possible to get copies of the notes or sort of just to give a summary on change, please?
Through there, absolutely.
Thanks.
Like that, and it was Mr. Dobson himself attended that, and it really reinforced the place branding work that we're doing at the moment. It's good to see what there's other places around the country and around the world.
Yeah.
Great presentations from.
Any further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, I'll ask Councillor Murphy to close, please.
Consider closing.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried unanimously. 6.4 is the monthly operational report. If I could have mover, please.
So many.
Councillor. And a second, please.
Second.
Councillor Murphy, thank you. Councillor Warren.
Somewhat embarrassed, thank you, Mayor, that everyone was a bit standoffish, and you're more than welcome to move this report. It is one of my favourites, or it is my favourite, but everyone is welcome to move it. I only had one small thing to talk to, even though it's such a packed report. That'll leave plenty for the other councillors to talk to. Last week I took a run along the Sprayton connector, and it was after spending some time there with my son, who's just recently joined the Sprayton Scouts, and they did a tree planting, not directly behind the waste transfer station, but in pretty close proximity to it. So there's two really great things, or more than two, but two that I want to talk to just about that one aspect of the Sprayton connector. The first one, that on that run there was multiple people using it, and at the places where those plantings had already been done, it looks great. It's a real, or it's going to become a real asset to the people of Sprayton and Coiba and that southern part of the city. I believe that they're contemplating starting a park run at Sprayton as well. It'd be a great location and another great community event. And just to thank. So firstly, just that the Sprayton Connect is just a great footpath to walk or run on, and then to thank the people that are doing those tree plantings. So I think there was one by the Friends of Don Reserve, and then also the Scout Group, Devonport Community Land Care. We're helped out by Lifeway Baptist Church, Mersey District Scouts, as I said, and then also Sprayton Primary School. So I think there's plans to do more plantings along that footpath, but what's currently there is fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, as Councillor Blaney said, a very detailed report. However, probably just some advice. I'm surprised Councillor Blaney didn't pick up on page 100 that the photo there probably wasn't big enough. And they're coming into an election cycle. You may want to consider wearing your vote one for me or make Devonport great again or something you had on, just to really increase that profile and see how you go getting into next month's and the months after, moving towards the election. Look, the city's been very busy, especially over that winter period. It again just highlights the amount of people that we've been able to attract through events and different bits and pieces, and it's good that all that's highlighted in this report.
Thank you. Further comments from the councillors? Councillor Ennis?
Thank you. I noticed that the sports box is in operation. I just wondered if there is any early reports on how it's operating.
Through you, Mayor. We are just waiting on some data to come through, Councillor Ennis, but we've heard a lot from the community that they like the idea. We're probably expecting over summer to see a little bit more usage.
Thank you. And my other comment would be about the community engagement by the in-build nurturing. Professor Jason Byrne and Ying were up here and conducted quite a number of extensive workshops, which were really good. And I'm going to be catching up with Professor Jason later in the week just to talk about how things are progressing. So, good news.
Thank you. Further comments from the council? Councillor Hollister?
Just the sound live show. Bill was very good. Impressive lighting works. Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Martin, sir.
Thank you. Yes, I also note the sports box at Beecroft Park. And when that was suggested, I also mentioned at that time a street library, which I'm proud to advise that Breeze High School has been donated a street library from the Children's Council of Australia, and I have an interest with that. And the siting of such is to be explored and advised later on. But there's been some suggestions provided by Breeze High School, and I was pleased that where we've got a sports box, which is exercise good for the body, having a street library is also good reading and it's good for the mind as well. So we covered two on the one. As to Councillor Viney's point about the National Tree Planting Day, it was great to join in with the committee and volunteers and getting down and getting dirty and planting 370 plants. Some of the ground out there was a bit tough though. It was blowing away. As to the building nature, some great workshops, sharing ideas and experiences, in a very informative presentation by, as Councillor Ennis says, Professor Jason Byrne and Ying. And I was happy to attend 3 sessions of that, as well as attending the highlights at O'Neill, which was a great light display, but really cold, middle of winter. So, but all congratulations to all those who braved the coldness and attended a great event. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Dorchinski.
Thank you, Mayor. The pop-up space that we've got in the mall, and it was really interesting to hear that we've had quite a few people put in application. Is there an update on when we might see the first 1 or 2 or 3 built, and for how long?
Through you, Mayor, so the expression of interest process we've received over 19 submissions now from a range of different operators. The first is scheduled for the start of September, and the expression of interest process initially did limit tenure to a maximum of 2 weeks. We've had 1 or 2 who have requested that maximum. Majority have been for a shorter duration than that. So Council officers are working through the final schedule for that at the moment through Christmas. Release that schedule to Council once they've all been locked in.
Yeah, that's great. Great to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? I would just like to say quickly Jazz Task Force, thank you so much. You're amazing. Keep up the good work. We'll see you next year. Big shout out to the Glow Run. So Brian Lyons and his team, he always wanted to get 2,000 participants. He got over 2,000 participants. So very happy for them. They've worked hard. They do great events. Thank you to Councillor Ennis for attending and doing the awards that night. And, you know, the sport everywhere. It's places going off. Let alone the fact that we have our Living Well program, does so well, thanks to Luke's for supporting that too. Can't do without our friends at Luke's. But going to the basketball grand final the other night, I just got to reiterate this. It was so cool because the men's and women's teams were playing, and there was this huge lineup past Tasman Street waiting to get into our stadium. And I had to go off to Jazz to join the deputy mayor, and going past the lineup, and someone said, "Oh, that's the mayor." And some smart aleck, I love them for this, called out, "We need a bigger stadium." And I said, "Don't you worry, there's one coming." And then we got to show the jack jumpers around and really give them a bit more insight into really what we are putting down there and how good that is going to be, and how we're not just going to compete with the rest of the state, we're going to be better. And was really proud to be able to show both the CEO at one tour and then Scott Roth and the other, and they were just so impressed with our facilities and what we're going to be doing there. And it's an exciting time for the Northwest Coast and definitely for this region. It's what happens here in Devonport. So congratulations to everybody. I will ask Councillor Viney, therefore, to close his favourite topic.
Thank you, Matt, and thanks to the other councillors for adding to this really celebration of the month that was. Worth noting that the Devonport Jazz was the 25th edition, but also there was a pivot this year to include Devonport Blues and Roots, which I certainly enjoyed. And as Councillor Murphy said, there's a picture of me there on page 100. Hadn't noticed it earlier, so thanks for the first time seeing that picture. And obviously you've noticed me wearing the blue scarf for the Blues and Roots Festival. I do have a few copies printed out already, Councillor Murphy. If you wanted a signed one, I can get you that before we go. Thank you. You Matt.
Thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7 is the closed session. If I can have a move.
So moved.
Well, Councillor Murphy and Councillor Moore. Councillor Murphy.
Merely procedural, man.
Councillor Moore.
Merely procedural, ma'am.
Thank you. Further comments or questions from the councillors? If not, Councillor
close.
Murphy to close. Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
And against? Passed unanimously. Thank you. And therefore we're going into closure.
Giving hurry cut.
Yes, yes, gone.